Now, I know some of you might be thinking, oh, when was she's going to try to sell me on exercise? Well, that's only part of it. What I'm really trying to sell you on is you. Yeah, and I could talk about and love to talk about telomere length and mitochondria production and all these wonderful things that exercise will do for you in keeping you young and making you healthy and giving you a vibrant life. But I want to talk about something that isn't really out there that much, which is how strength training changes you in here, how it can and will bring you into the fullness of yourself. And I know this because I lived it. See, I only started working out because I had to. My back was up against a wall. I mean, I'm someone that couldn't stick with anything. But I was on the CBS show Guiding Light. And around the time I turned 41, the executive producer called my agent and said, yeah, I don't see using her too much anymore. You know, she's getting kind of old. Old? I was 41. Apparently, that's 123 in Hollywood years. My agent even went as far to call the head of another network, Daytime, and he said, I don't want any more women over 40 on any of my shows. So they took me off contract. They took away my dressing room. I mean, they still wrote me in a little bit, but I was the mother in the background. Now, I'll tell you, when those things happen, it sends a clear message in my business, which is you're not part of the club. You're not valuable to us anymore. My confidence cratered. And here's something that starts happening. Well-meaning friends will start saying things like, well, you had a good run. Anybody experience things like that? People giving you the message that you really should accept just being less now. Or maybe you have friends around you that are reinforcing that narrative that, well, we're just invisible now. Or worse, you have that voice in your own head that says, maybe I do have to accept being less. Maybe I am less. Being invisible is just the way that it is. I'm here to tell you that whatever message you've gotten around that, you got to call bullshit on it. In fact, I'd like you to do it with me right now. I'd like you to think about any message that you've gotten and go, I call bullshit on that. See, there is a whole narrative out there that keeps telling you you are less, so you will buy more. More creams, more purses, more spandex, more shoes, more makeup. Most women spend thousands a year to turn back time. You know what turns back time? Exercise, specifically strength training. But like I said, we'll talk about that. This is specifics in a future episode. And now I am going to get back to my story, what happened to me. But before I do that, I want to talk about selling you on you. See, let's talk about who you really are. Not what society has been trying to tell you. I mean, I always tell people at 62, I am only now the woman I wanted to be when I was 20, but I couldn't be this person then because I had to swim through a lot of shit to get here. And so have you. Every person watching this has, I'm betting, survived something, probably many somethings. Divorce, heartbreak, death of a loved one, financial crisis, career loss. All of us have been through it. And you know what that makes us? Freaking amazing. I mean, see, you have done all the hard work to get here, to be this person in here. That was the hard part of it. Because you can only do that through years lived, getting through stuff. Now you just need a strong body to match it, and that is the easy part. We're talking about 3 times a week doing strength training. That's all I do. I know. Some of you are saying, Beth, I don't have 3 hours a week to work out. well, I bet you got 3 hours a week to scroll on social media. Or I know some of you are going, but I hate working out. Okay, I just want to say, you don't really think that makes you special, do you? Because nobody likes working out. I don't like working out. I mean, I can tell you, I have never once thought to myself, man, I can't wait to get to exercise. Never. But you know what I do like doing? I like skiing gnarly trails with my son and having a mother-son experience that he will remember after I'm gone. This past summer, my husband, my son, and myself were biking all over Paris an entire day. And it is a memory that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And even as I was doing it, I was saying to myself, I want to be doing this 10 years from now. What's your version of that? What experience do you want to still be able to have 10 years from now? Really think of something. And how about those memories that your kids are going to have of you or your grandkids after you're gone? What are those memories? Just you as some figure sitting in a chair or doing something with them? And here's the other thing I like about my workouts, finishing them. But it's not just that they're done, it's that I've accomplished something. It is a real accomplishment. And I'll tell you what, that accomplishment increases your sense of self-worth. And you know what? That single accomplishment, working out, is one of the most important things you will do with your day, because it is increasing your chances to live a long lifespan and see your children and your grandchildren get married, graduate from college, from high school, to move into their own homes, to start their careers, to have children of their own. And speaking of children, how about increasing your chances that you won't be dependent on them? How much is that worth for you? If you could put a dollar figure on that, how much do you think it's worth it to them? Because I'm going to give you a tough stat. 70% of nursing home residents are women. And it's not because this is gone in 70% of those people. It's because this can't live independently anymore, can't take care of her basic needs. I bet most of you have a parent or have known someone who got to that point where they couldn't take care of their basic needs, couldn't get dressed, couldn't even use the bathroom by themselves. And, you know, talk about something small, just getting down on the floor and can't get up. Once that happens, you've lost your autonomy. Now, I know some of you might be going, I walk. Well, that's good. If you're doing it, keep doing it. But it's not enough. It's not replacing the muscle you're losing. Starting at age 30, you lose 3 to 5% of your muscle mass every decade. But here's the kicker. After 50, that accelerates to somewhere around 10% per decade. And after 60, you don't just lose muscle mass, you lose strength at 3% a year. That's 30% a decade. No wonder the stairs get harder. Now, I'm going to go back to my story. So they took me off contract. They took away my dressing room. They still wrote me in occasionally, but only as an old granny. Now, the only reason I started working out was because I knew that if I gained a pound, that would give them a reason to write me in even less. And frankly, I needed the money. Now, I got fortunate because I went away on a vacation with my husband and 2 friends who all exercise. I tell people all the time, if that week hadn't happened, chances are I would be very unhealthy, overweight, quite possibly alcoholic, because I was drowning in the sorrows of my cratered confidence in unhealthy patterns. Now, being away was key for me, as it turns out. In fact, there's a book written by Benjamin Hardy called Willpower Doesn't Work. Raise your hand if you have experienced willpower not working. Hardy found that changing environment is key in increasing our chance of success. He said that change of environment is a forcing function. Now, a forcing function, if you don't know, is an event that can change your default behavioral patterns. So you don't have to rely on willpower to eat right or to get to your workout. You've changed your default behavioral patterns. So I started running that week, and I did start changing that week. I started to get a release of those neurotransmitters and hormones like dopamine and endorphins. I started to increase my self-worth. But I really changed the day I picked up a kettlebell. That weight training with that kettlebell, it changed my body, but it changed my life. It changed who I was. And you know, that dressing room that they kicked me out of, about 4 months after I started strength training, I walked into that producer's office and I demanded a dressing room. And not just for me, but for 3 other women who had been given the boot too. Now, I still remember the shock on that producer's face. She got red. And she looked at me, and I thought, she can't deny me. I got that dressing room. See, picking up that weight day after day, it expanded my belief in the tough things that I could handle outside in my life. It increased my confidence, increased my sense of power. And there's something key that I never put together here, but here it is. This is so key. Motion creates emotion. See, as an actor, I knew this, but I hadn't incorporated it into my life. See, I was walking around with no core. This was my posture. My costume designer very nicely told me it was my posture. I didn't realize it. But that is sending a message of defeat, of powerlessness. Now, William James, the father of American psychology, and Carl Lang, a Danish researcher, working independently, came to the same conclusion, which is body language, actions precede emotion. In other words, you don't stand up straight because you're confident because you stand up straight. So think about this for a moment. What is the dominant message that your body is sending to your brain day after day, hour after hour? I mean, for me now, I just stand up straight because I have this strong core. I don't have to think about it. I just stand up straight. So do this now and just really feel it, okay? Now go into this slump posture and feel it. Like one's not getting a dressing room and the other is. Now, let me tell you the end of my story on the show, just because it's kind of funny. So, as you remember, I was being written as an old granny. Well, one day I see I'm in every day. What's going on? I open that first script. My character's in bed with a 20-year-old. My character went from being written as a granny to a cougar. Oh, and that storyline. I was nominated for an Emmy for it. But here's what I always say, and this is a really important part to take away with any challenge in your life. The writers didn't change. I did. And when I changed, the world around me changed. And here's what I learned. The world treats you how you show up. You show up defeated, they will defeat you. You show up powerful, and just watch what happens. But to get there, you've got to show up for yourself first. Now, Maya Angelou said, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." I'm going to say it to you this way. Don't accept that your best years are behind you. Don't accept frailty. Because all the years that you have lived and what you have lived through, you have only now become the woman that you couldn't be when you were 20. So dig deep, get strong, and see how high and far that you can fly. I'll tell you today, if I encounter someone who's underestimating me, I think to myself, well, they don't know who they're dealing with. Or I'll think, they don't have the capability to understand my greatness. And that that flows over into life events. Even when I got my cancer diagnosis, um, that was the first thought that came into my head. My first thought was, well, that cancer doesn't know who it's dealing with. Now, how many of you would like that to be the first thought that comes into your head when you are encountering a life challenge or someone who's underestimating you? So I'm going to hope that this really resonates with you. And if it is, start immediately. Don't wait. Don't wait and go, well, I don't feel ready. But guess what? You're never going to feel ready. Okay? We're going to talk about why that is in a future episode. But W. Clement Stone, for those of you that know him, he was a self-made billionaire before most of us were even born. And he used to say something. He used to say, do it now. That's what he used to say to himself. Because he started his early career afraid to knock on doors. He was a door-to-door salesman. And so he just made himself do it now because he discovered that action negates fear. So make an action step. And if you really want the full experience of this, I'm having a retreat in Costa Rica, May 17th to 22nd, called Roar, a retreat for those who refuse to fade. I wanted to do this ever since I had my forcing function that 1 week that changed my life. We went back to that cabin year after year after that. And every time I'd look up at that cabin, I would think, this is the place my life changed. So whatever you choose, whether it's coming to my retreat and being in that forcing function situation surrounded by other people who are transforming too, so you get high from the whole thing, or whether you're trying to do it at your own, on your own, at home. Let this be the moment. Not when you're ready. You'll never be ready. Take action now. Some kind of action. Take that action now. Draw your line in the sand. And step in to the fullness of who you were always meant to be.